Good morning, Europe. Good evening to Australia, and hello to the rest of the world. And a jolly good morning from Liverpool. This is Peter at Eurovision, and this morning we are going to I am going to talk about last night's semi-final. Um, Weather update: it is a slightly overcast day in Liverpool. We've had some absolutely glorious sunshine. I watched the semi-final from the Eurovillage big screens last night, and it was absolutely beautiful. The sun coming down over the Mersey and into the Irish Sea was uh, absolutely beautiful. I was at the semi-final one rehearsal the night before, and we'll talk more about that in a little bit. So let's talk about semi-final one. Well, I think the first thing to say is, wow, the BBC have done an absolutely fantastic job. As we expect, the BBC has many critics in this country, but they know how to pull off a big production, and this is another great example. I was choked watching that film of the little boy. It gets me now. Of that little boy sort of excitedly telling his mum that we've got Eurovision and telling all his mates, because that was basically me for 6 months. God, Jesus Christ, Pete, calm down. Um, and yeah, and I think it's been wonderfully staged. I think the interval acts were great. I thought Rebecca Ferguson and Elisha, I thought the interval act was absolutely stunning. I thought the entertainment, the sort of was. I need a tissue. Um, yeah, I think they've done really well. I think the hosts have done incredibly well. Obviously, everyone is giving a lot of cheer for Hannah Waddingham, who is doing a great job. Julia is doing a great job as our Ukrainian host, and I think Alicia Dixon is, yeah, I think she's doing pretty good in the green room, and and her rapping is still very much on point, as it always has been. So let's talk about the semi-final results. It is fair to say that I am a little bit disappointed, because there were 4 songs out of the 5 that didn't qualify that I liked. I'm a big fan of the Maltese entry. I've always supported the Busca. I thought they had a really good song. I thought they performed with so much energy on the night. In the arena, they did absolutely brilliantly. It came across well on TV. People were cheering and dancing for it in the village. I'm scratching my head a little bit as to what's gone wrong for Malta here. Um, uh, I don't think the lads could have done anything differently or anything. They could have. The staging was good, the performance was good, the energy was good. I, 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 I'm not sure what they can do. I've heard people on Twitter saying that Malta need to change the format of their song selection. I don't think the song selection is the issue. Yeah, I agree that a 40-song mega final with quarterfinals and semi-finals and disqualifying people midway through it is probably not the best thing for the competition. But I think one of the best songs shone through for Malta and won NESC. So I don't think this was a case of the national final picking a bad song and they need to go back to the drawing board. The national final chose a very, very good song. Could it be the song to Curse? I really don't want to blame that. Because again, like I say, the statistics show that when you go to a random draw, song 2 is at no disadvantage of qualifying. Did the producers feel that Malta was a weak song and placed it into song number 2 because that's what previous producers have done? I don't think that would have been the case. So it's a really it's a hard one for me to swallow. I was really depressed last night. I didn't go to the Euro Club last night. Maybe because I was just a bit tired and a bit fed up. But um, I think they did well, and they're so good live. I saw them at the Cavern. They performed 4 or 5 songs live, and they are an outstanding band. And I hope they can carry on from this. I'm sure they absolutely will. Latvia was my other one that I am disappointed. This is jury fodder, and this is why you need juries, and this is why I think you need juries in semi-finals. It was a great song. It was a different song to what else was being presented that night, and it was. I thought it was incredibly well performed in the arena, and I thought it was incredibly well shot. Watching it on the big screen, My only perhaps little criticism of Latvia was the lead singer. I don't think he looked at the camera once. He sort of looked at his guitarist, he looked out to various things, but I don't think he ever actually made a connection to the camera. Now, whether that made a big difference or not, I don't know. But I think the song is brilliant. I think again, little criticisms, but that last little bit at the end, very quiet, very sort of emotive. But I don't think watching it in the village, people sort of grasp that sort of emotional bit. And maybe it's because you're in a big village where people are drinking beer and things that they didn't quite get it. But yeah, I'm a bit sore for Latvia because we'll come back to sort of juries and televoting in a minute. But I think yeah, I'm disappointed. I think they did really well. And again, the lads could not have done any better. And I hope they come to the UK and tour because I will be there to see them. Their new single "Backwards in Time" is out. Buy it. It's great. If you like sort of indie type sound, Star Sailor, Coldplay, those sorts of things, it's cracking. Netherlands. Well, the Netherlands have always had difficulty in the last few weeks. Criticisms about the vocal ability, about the experience of the artists, about having to change the song partway through. Um, in the arena the night before, the male singer whose name has completely gone out of my head, he, I'm not going to say he struggled, but some of his falsettos were not as strong as they could have been. But on screen, they sounded absolutely fine. Um, and Dion, I think, sang beautifully. There was a real sense of intimacy watching the song, both on television and in the arena. So again, I'm not quite too sure what went wrong for them. Um, bad press, maybe, but again, look, the casual viewer aren't following that. I think in such a pop heavy semi final, these songs they either stand out or they sink, and maybe just a quiet, understated ballad was not just sort of fell by the wayside a little bit. Azerbaijan, I've always had a bit of a soft spot for this song. A nice, compact, um, enthusiastic performance. I think one of them had some issues with his guitar midway through, and they just carried on TV, and no one noticed. But this is not Azerbaijan's usual type of entry that they send, and they may go back into their shell and send the sort of songs they used to do. This experiment has unfortunately not paid off for them. Um, but again, in a contest where you got Norway being loud and bombastic, where Malta are being loud and bombastic, where Sweden are being loud and bombastic, where Finland are being very bombastic, and Israel as well, maybe just having two men standing playing guitars just fell by the wayside. Maybe thinking of things like diaspora or neighbourly voting, what support could Azerbaijan get? I don't know. And finally, Ireland. I feel a little bit sorry for Wild Youth because they're a bit like Peak Jacks from San Marino in the sense that they won their national final fair and square with the rules that they had. Now, the Irish rules were that you could vote as many times as you wanted. There was no limit to voting, and therefore the Wild Youth fans voted, and they voted in large numbers. Now, maybe if there had been some sort of televoting limit to how many times that somebody could vote for a song, that may have made it a bit more of a level playing field. But RTE had the rules that they did, and the fans of Wild Youth voted very enthusiastically for them. But from the minute they won, everyone was saying they weren't going to do very well. People were telling them that it's not a good song. People were telling them that the revamp of the song was not that good. Everyone was saying Midnight Summer Night should have won. People were more concerned about giant jars of peanut butter than they were with the actual song competition. So yeah, I feel a bit they had an uphill struggle, and I can see a little bit why Connor is lashing out on Instagram and things. I can sort of understand that. I think in the technical rehearsal the night before when I was there, Ireland were brought out on stage, and then there was a massive delay, and you could see Connor pacing up and down that staircase and looking very stressed by the whole thing. Um, There were questions about the performance, about his microphone being so far away from his mouth as to whether you could actually hear what he was saying. Um, the chorus is anthemic. You can't get past that, and I think there were bits of it that I really enjoyed watching. Um, but I just feel they had an uphill struggle, and you know, I don't know what Ireland can do differently. Do they go down the British route of saying, right, no more national finals? We just pick a song and work on it and pick an artist. I don't know. I don't know what the right thing for Ireland is, because they like doing the Euro song and they like doing the Late Late Show, but they need to revamp the format and they need to drop the Late Late Show aspect of it. Um, so that's my review of the 5 non-qualifiers. Let's talk a little bit about the qualifiers. Well, Sweden, Finland, absolutely that was going to happen. Norway, again, that was going to happen. I thought on screen her high note at the end, I thought she just missed it, but I don't think those sort of things are going to affect anymore. Um, Czechia, now I will hold my hand up. When I first watched that music video of My Sister's Crown, I did not like it. I didn't get it. I didn't grasp it. They did an outstanding job last night. I think the just a very simple choreography, but the things with the ponytails and when they were lined up, I really enjoyed it. I got really behind it. The LCD projections, I'm probably not quite so keen on, but yeah, I can see why they qualified. Um, and speaking of ones I can see why they qualified, Moldova again. Pasha Pasha's song is not usually my sort of thing, but I can see why it's qualified. I think it's done really, really well from that point of view. Who else do we need to talk about? I should have had a list, but I've not. I'm really irrelevant. Um, Croatia. I just don't get it. I'm sorry, and I get that the fans have said things such as that Let Three are a serious band, and they are a serious band. They've been performing for many, many years, and they obviously have their own uh, fan base and crowd, and I absolutely get that. Um, I think the problem here is the fans are trying to defend Croatia by saying they're a serious band with a serious anti-war message, um, and then the staging is what reflects that. The thing is that if you're the casual televoter watching, and you're bearing in mind we haven't had a semi-final on BBC One in this country ever, so if you're a casual viewer, what you're seeing is a group of guys in unusual in unusual costumes performing a wacky song with an LCD or an LED or whatever it's called backdrop, which is pretty out there. And they go, "Yeah, this is the wacky kitsch camp stuff that we expect from Eurovision, so we're going to vote for that." They're not thinking about how serious the group are. They're not thinking about the anti-war message. What they're thinking about is that's funny, and this is I think this is where juries play a role, because I think I'm hoping we can all agree that the quality of song at Eurovision on the Saturday night has gone up massively in the last 5 to 10 years, and I think the juries have a role to play in that. There's a place for Eurovision for sort of more wacky songs, I think, but if it comes at the expense of songs such as Latvia and Malta, I'm less in favour of it, and that might make me a bit unpopular. This is just my view. I, I want I suppose the way I view it is that I want good quality songs that have chart potential, or things that I will listen to on the radio or on my record player. I have a record player, I'm old. I don't think I'm ever going to sit down and listen to Let Three out of choice. And it's not something that I'm going to hear on the radio, and it's not something I'm going to see in the iTunes Top 100. Um, what I want is songs that are well crafted, well constructed, and I don't get that with Croatia. Despite what I keep being told about what a serious group they are, I just didn't see it today. Um, so yeah, so there's that. Right, we're going on for 15 minutes, so um, we'll leave it there. But I think, just to reiterate, I think the production last night was great, and I think we're going to have a really good final. It's going to be an absolutely cracking ding dong between Sweden and Finland. And France performed in the rehearsal on the Monday, and they absolutely brought it as well. So this is not the two-horse race you think it is. I think France are going to be there right up there as well. Yeah, it's going to be an exciting one. I'm off to the OGA ferry thing later on today, and then I've got my next hospitality ticket for the semi-finals. Quick note on hospitality. I think if you ever get the opportunity to do it, do it. It's not some middle class sort of posh people fest. There is a wide spectrum of people there having an absolutely remarkably enjoyable time. I personally went for hospitality because it was only a little bit more expensive than a standing ticket, and I got a seat and a free feed and some excellent cocktails. Um, so yeah, hospitality is not sort of some horrible corporate posh thing. It's just a really nice experience, and I recommend it to anyone. Um, but yeah, hopefully I will see some of you around today or in the arena later on. But otherwise, I hope you all have a great day and enjoy Wednesday here at Eurovision here in Liverpool. And this is Pete from University saying, I'll see you soon. Bye bye.